Fights presented by Miller Lite from the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Heavyweights taking center stage. 31-year-old Monte Barrett was planning on coming to tonight's card to root on Daniel Judah. Instead, with Ray Mercer pulling out, Barrett said, "I'll fight." And he is in our main event. 15 knockouts in his career. He's been in against decent competition, although some of the former champions well past their prime. On July the 15th of 2000, he went across the pond to England to take on Vladimir Klitschko. Barrett had his problems against the talented Klitschko. In round number 1, a left hand by Klitschko, followed by a right, and Barrett was down. In round number 4, Klitschko used his size, and he sort of tossed Barrett down. Then in round number 7, Klitschko sealed the deal. He would knock Barrett down 3 times, and the bout was stopped at TKO. Round number 7, Vladimir Klitschko was victorious. Now, after a 17-month layoff, Barrett returned to the ring last month, and he's invigorated about boxing.
He's looking to stay busy. I got a new direction, setting my goals at a higher standard than before. I'm hungry. I'm not complacent. I love what I do. I love my job.
Willie loved the heart of this man, Robert Wiggins. Born in New York, fighting out of East Providence, Rhode Island, the 34-year-old, 17 wins and 10 knockouts on his professional resume. We've seen him before on Friday Night Fights. 16 months ago here at the Mohegan Sun, on 2 days' notice, he took on Eric Kirkland, an undefeated heavyweight prospect. Wiggins left nothing to chance in this fight, and in the 10th round, he put Kirkland away, although Kirkland was winning on 2 of the judges' scorecards. He had a loss to Derek Bryant on Tuesday Night Fights, and then he strung together a couple of wins against inferior competition. His last fight was January the 10th on Friday Night Fights here at the Mohegan Sun. He stepped up against the talented DeVarrell Williamson. Did not have enough. Wiggins, by his own admission, tired late, and Williamson would win a 10-round decision. So Robert Wiggins is at a crossroads in his career. Does he face a must situation tonight?
Most of all, because you're coming off a loss, you want to redeem yourself. So what you want to do is just come out there and you want to get the big win. I got to get the win. The win is just necessary. Absolutely. We definitely need this win. We need to know when they need an exciting one. With pressure on this guy, I think we can get to him.
While Wiggins needs to make a name for himself, Barrett realizes he needs to put his name on the ledger.
I'm kind of stunned too, but I have to get back in the picture. I have to look at my surroundings. I gotta look to better myself, and I gotta get back into this bowl, to this pool of heavyweights, trying to get up in the mix and get this title shot. So that's where I want to be. So after this fight, this is my first visual fight that people get to see the new and improved full Monte.
31-year-old Monte Barrett, 221.5 pounds, 27-2 with 15 knockouts. Barrett feels he is ready to perform tonight. And Asim Rahman in his corner. Good friends, stablemates. We'll talk with Rahman after last week's disappointment against David Tua, former heavyweight champion, cheering on Monte Barrett. And there's Robert Wiggins, 34 years of age, 216 and a quarter pounds, 17-2, 1 draw, and 10 knockouts. So Robert Wiggins realizes he has to use pressure, get on the inside, counter punch. Says he's working on trying to be more aggressive. He says that in his eyes, Barrett and Ray Mercer, who was scheduled to fight, have similar styles. He felt that Mercer was stronger than Barrett, but Barrett has a little edge as far as speed is concerned.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Matthew Mullaney is our referee.
Keep your punches up, obey my commands at all times.
Barrett and Wiggins getting set to roll. Robert Wiggins, limited amateur career, only 10 bouts. Sort of earned some paydays on 2 days' notice in December of 2001 when he took out Eric Kirkland. We showed you that highlight here at the Mohegan Sun on Friday Night Fights.
Wiggins is a southpaw. One of the advantages that he brings into a ring. Wiggins not very polished. Very, very, very game. good power. As I said, very tough, very determined. Very little amateur background, as you said, Bob. Only 10 amateur fights, so he's a little crude, a little green.
Let him out. Step back. That's it.
Still learning, or trying to learn at 34 years of age. Barrett is technically the better fighter. If he stays on the outside, he can use the advantage of being technically the better fighter, starting with that jab, I believe.
Barrett, very good athlete. Was an all New York City linebacker at John Adams High School. That football career didn't work out for him. Had some early success in his career. Made some money. Said, you know, my mom worked 2 jobs. We were on public assistance. Made a little money. I got a little complacent. But after a 17-month layoff, says he's really focused. Fought on March the 8th, 6-round decision against Terry Porter.
Barrett stepping in as a last-minute replacement, as you said, for Ray Mercer, stepping in Monday. This is a tougher fight, in my estimation, for Wiggins than a 43-year-old Mercer would have been.
Mercer with a shoulder injury.
Barrett has a lot of advantages. He's fought the much better opposition. He's a much more experienced fighter professionally, amateur-wise, and technically he's the better fighter.
A little short uppercut on the inside that got Wiggins' attention.
The only disadvantage that Barrett has is if he's not in top shape, taking this fight on 4 days' notice. But his weight, 221.5 pounds, lower than his last fight of 223 only a month ago, would indicate that Barrett is in shape. So it's going to be a tough night possibly for Wiggins. Barrett only fought a month ago. And that's not so much time that you should get out of shape. And as we just said, it looks like Barrett still is in condition.
Well, plus he was right back in the gym as part of his new dedication with his new trainer, Tommy Parks, and manager Stan Hoffman. So he said, you know, you could put a cot in the gym.
Oh, it looks like it. Looks like he's in shape. Just look at his weight.
Let him go.
Wiggins likes to get inside, but he will reach. He will throw long punches. He will leave himself wide open. Barrett will get plenty of opportunities to use that jab on the outside and to throw counters in between those wide shots.
The cross there by Monte Barrett. That's the end of round number 1, scheduled for 10. Well, it's time for Teddy's tips, and we'll start with that man, 31-year-old Monte Barrett.
Oh, well, we've been talking about it. Show your speed. Use the jab. You're quicker, more polished technically. We just showed that. There's no better way to show that than by using your jab on the outside with the slow Wiggins. Number 2, hands up when you go out. You have a habit of pulling out straight with your hands down. That's a mistake with Wiggins, who throws big, long punches. You'll pull back into them. And finally, straight right hand. It usually works against the southpaw, especially one who throws wide shots. The straight right will beat him to the mark.
All right, Teddy's tips for Robert Wiggins.
Well, Wiggins, you're going to throw long, do it as he steps out. This way he does not. He's not ready to punch, and you can catch him retreating instead of paying a price. Surprise him with the uppercut on the inside. Barrett has a tendency to lean forward and set a fast pace and keep your hands working on the inside, hoping that maybe Barrett's not in top shape. You can wear him down going down the stretch.
Well, couple things from round number 1 as I gaze at the CompuBox numbers. You mentioned that Barrett needs to use the jab. According to those numbers, he was 0 for 21 with his jab. You also mentioned that Robert Wiggins needs to be aggressive. Wiggins only threw 19 punches in the entire round, Teddy, to Barrett's 61.
Wiggins can't win. Just look at him physically. He's a shorter man. As we said, he's the roarer. He's a little roarer. Less developed technically. He can't win, Wiggins, on the outside. He needs to get close to have a chance to win. That means he has to take chances, though, of getting caught on the way in.
But as we saw earlier tonight, the shorter Glenn Johnson against the taller Daniel Judah out-jabbed the taller man to get himself on the inside and do what he had to do, although that fight was ruled a draw. So Wiggins, you know, only 4 jabs in round 1 out of Wiggins, Teddy.
Wiggins doesn't have a lot of experience. But he would be a guy that you would think would feel comfortable using that jab with the taller man. One of the things Barrett has to look out for is In his past history, he's had some problems with cuts, especially over that left eye, some severe trouble with cuts. We have to see whether or not that comes into play tonight. But as long as Barrett uses his height, stays on the outside, he's got the quicker hands, he can play it two-way. He can beat Wiggins to the punch when Wiggins waits, and he can fill the hole when Wiggins comes in with those long shots like that. Wiggins will help you score by throwing wide punches and leaving himself wide open. Also, the uppercut could be very effective for Barrett with Wiggins reaching in and leaning in a little bit.
Good opportunities for some uppercuts, too, that Barrett can throw.
The key so far this round